The Islamic police in Nigeria's northern state of Kano arrested 9 people for eating on the first day of Ramadan. Before we get into this video, I just want to make something very clear. This video is not a criticism of Islam. Ramadan and fasting are deeply important parts of the faith. My concern here is about enforcement and how authorities choose to, apply these laws. And this is also not an invitation to disrespect or bring hate towards anyone's religion. We can all have a civilized conversation thoughtfully and respectfully. So let's get into it. In Kano, the Islamic police is known as Hisbah. They would routinely search cafes, restaurants, and markets during Ramadan to make sure that people and Muslims actually are observing the fast. That's something that they do every year. That said, some establishments would remain open in parts of Kano where there is a large Christian population. Now, this might sound maybe shocking to you if you're a non-Nigerian, but as a Nigerian, it doesn't surprise me when I see these reports on news. Because for many years I've seen this, but I just never thought it was real. I just thought it was, I just didn't think it was real. But it's been happening. And in fact, in 2025, there were reports not only of people being arrested for eating at the start of Ramadan, but even food vendors were arrested. In my opinion, these are people just, trying to make money or make ends meet. This particular arrest here happened in Kano State. Kano is religiously diverse. Muslims were also home to Christians and some followers of the African traditional religion. For Muslims, fasting from sunrise to sunset during Ramadan is actually mandatory. It is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, the core principles that guide how Muslims live their lives. But the arrest did not just stop at eating. It also reported the authorities detained people who they described as wearing inappropriate haircuts, for wearing shorts above their knees, and even tricycle drivers who were mixing male and female passengers. I want to pause on the haircut issue for a second because this is something that I didn't even know was still happening. I grew up in the Middle Belt, and the Middle Belt is not even a Muslim state, but you would see police do this. This was like a secular practice, and I just thought it was barbaric and it was extreme. It's shocking to me to know that, learning now that the police or the Islamic police or whomever is still practicing this in the country. Like, you would see police put scissors through people's hairs, like Muslim men, because they believe that hairstyle is inappropriate. That is garbage. That is a disgusting attitude. We need to move on from that. According to the Hisbah Deputy Commander General Mujahid Amidun, the 9 people who were detained, 7 of them were men and 2 of them were women. Those people claimed that they didn't know that Ramadan had begun. He told the BBC that they were being held so that they could be taught the importance of fasting, how to pray, how to read the Quran, and how to become better Muslims. It is not clear when or how they'll be released, but in past cases, Hisbah officers have contacted families after the release to ensure that individuals are actually fasting for the rest of the month when they get home. Now, to give you some background, Sharia law was introduced just over 2 decades in 12 northern Nigerian states, all with majority Muslim populations. This law operates, alongside with the secular laws in those states, and it has been very controversial ever since. My take is, if it applies strictly to those who are willing to submit to it, I don't necessarily see an issue with it. But if the people who it is meant to govern have concerns about it, then they can absolutely speak out and protest if that is what they want. I also wanted to see how these practices compares internationally. And then I found that in Saudi Arabia, for example, there was a significant change in 2016. The country's religious police, officially known as the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, were stopped of their powers to arrest. They still enforce public morality rules, such as, making sure people's hair are covered, all those things, but they no longer have the same authority that they once used to have, so they cannot technically arrest people. Meanwhile, in Iran, there were reports in 2017 of 20 individuals receiving flogging sentence and fines for eating or drinking during Ramadan fasting hours. So this isn't a conversation that's limited to Nigeria, but I keep coming back to this. The arrest over hairstyle, clothing, and how people choose to present themselves, I have a problem with that. I think it's harassment. I don't think it's enforcement of laws. Those laws should not even exist in the first place. I want to know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'll be in the comments, reading comments. I always do. And I love to interact with you guys in the comment section. That's all I have for you on this topic. And honestly, I think it's hilarious that you arrest people for eating. and you arrest people for their hairstyle, their looks. Nigeria, we need to stop that this year. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye now.